Jens Voigt is one of the most beloved and respected figures in the sport of cycling. Over a career spanning nearly 2 decades, the German rider became known for his aggressive racing style, relentless breakaways, and fearless attitude in the peloton. A multiple stage winner in the Tour de France, he's famously worn the yellow jersey and played a crucial role as a domestique for many of the sport's biggest names. Beyond his racing achievements, Voigt's charismatic personality and trademark phrase of "shut up legs" made him a fan favorite, and since retiring he's remained an influential figure in the sport, working as a commentator and an ambassador as well. And in today's video I had the pleasure of talking to one of my own personal idols and to see what his thoughts were on modern cycling and to talk through his own career. So without further ado, please enjoy the chat with Jens Voigt.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Jens Voigt. Is Voigt, is that how you pronounce it correctly?
Well, your Danish people or Nordic people seem to struggle with the name Jens Vogt. When you pronounce my last name, it sounds like the English word for intercourse or making love to one another. Instead of Jens Vogt, it comes across more like Jens Vogt. I noticed that every time I talk to a Danish or a Scandinavian person, it seemed to be the combination of letters seem to be hard to pronounce for people who have grown up with the Scandinavian language. But yeah, Jens Vogt.
Yeah, the Danish language is the rules are all over the place. Sometimes you don't pronounce letters. Anyways, that aside, great start. We might as well start with your. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of you, and you've inspired a whole generation in Denmark to cycle. And I think the whole Bjarne Riis team, every single rider that I've talked to from the Danes, including Jonas Vingegaard, it was all you guys from the CSC/Saxo Bank team. So, as a German, feeling that you've inspired the whole golden generation for Denmark, how does that feel?
Good, good. I mean, it is an honor that, people like Magnus Kort Nielsen, Jonas Vingegaard, even Mats Pedersen, who is in my former team, before then it was Trek Segafredo or Trek Racing. Now it's a Lidl Trek. So it is an honor, and I wish I could inspire a few more Germans, but in a moment we don't have anybody of the quality of Jonas or Mats Pedersen.
Yeah, we'll get on to German cycling as well. But yeah, this is quite a special one for me because I've looked up to you, and then it's like obviously I know all the tours that I saw you in that really hit home with me, but like I have to like research your whole career. It's not just those
Mm.
3 or 4 tours that I really saw you in. But Google's first question, so we'll go Google first. So if you Google your name, what is Jens Vogt up to nowadays? That is, so I might as well start with Google's question.
I'm still on a contract with Trek Bicycles in an ambassador role. My main job would be commentating cycling with Eurosport, mostly German Eurosport, but for the Grand Tours and some of the classics, I be on the motorbike. Or actually, this year only the Grand Tours, not the classics. So on the motorbike for the first 9 days in the Giro and in the Tour. Then we do the rest from the office of Eurosport Germany in Munich. Um, Events, speeches. Just last year, I had a speech in November, I believe, for Continental Tires in Germany. And I have a little partnership with a sports clothing company, Primal Sportswear. They are based in Denver, Colorado, and they have a special Shut Up Legs line. So we produce clothes with my Shut Up Legs logo on it. They have or at least they had I think it's left. They have a Pink Floyd line and I believe a AC/DC line as well. So yeah, that is what I do now. And for my 6 children, still 5 in the house, so they keep me busy as well.
Do you ride much now?
I struggle with getting more than 3 hours in, physically and mentally. Also, my family goes, Dad, are you stupid? Why would you train for 4 or 5 hours? So I try to keep it 2 days per week cycling and 2 days running. So that out of the 7 days, I would work out on 4 days. That is what I try.
I mean, you mentioned shut up legs. I think that before we get into it properly, I think that's also one to get out of the way. when did this kind of start? When did it go completely mainstream as well? And I mean, you've taken it further as well.
It started actually in interview with Danish TV. Probably TV2 Denmark. I think it was a woman, a younger woman, asking me. I was like 2 or 3 days, in a row in a breakaway, and then she asked me, "Hey, so Mr. Vogt, what do you do when your legs don't want to do it anymore, or your body is tired?" And that's where I said, "Well, then I go shut up legs and do what I tell you to do." A fence then just cut everything out apart from the shut up legs, and it became a self-igniting process. And quite often, wherever I go, they say, "Hey, can you see it one more time for us? Can you see it one more time for us?" Sometimes people ask me if I don't like it, or if I regret that I ever said it. But see, on a very tiny, tiny scale, that makes me immortal. Because when I am gone, there will still be sharp legs on the road of the Boston Marathon. Or, I saw it at the triathlon in Melbourne, Australia. Of course, on most road races in Europe as well. So I believe it was 2006, maybe 2005, 2006 with a Danish TV when I said it the first time.
I also wanted to know kind of your relationship with America because obviously the Tour of California, you had an ambassador role. I love that race, by the way, and you finished on the podium as well. Yeah, I was wondering because you're also on an American team. So what is your relationship with American racing, American culture, etc.?
If you go further back, in the year 94, I
Oh, and
won the
Bobby
amateur.
Chulek. That's another one.
Yes, I won the Amateur World Cup. That was the high point of my amateur life. Couldn't find a contract for 2 years. Um, and then funny 97 signed with a smaller team, which was half from the Czech Republic and half from Australia. Still no German team wanted me. Back then we only had Team Telekom. They were almost like the official national team for Germany. They were so loved, so respected. And as you can imagine, every year 20 German riders tried to become member of the team. So for whatever reason, they never wanted me. Then I signed 98 with a bigger team in France. Then later I realized, of course, after I had success there, Telekom asked me to join them. And then later on, I realized, you know what? It's part of my charm that I'm the German that has never been in a German team. So I was with Bjarne for 7 years and an American team for 5 years. I liked the spirit. I liked, see, honestly, no kidding. We Germans sometimes we are living 100% up to the cliche. There is a lot of Germans. They switch off the light when they laugh, or they go down in the basement of the house, they laugh, and then they come back out to the sunlight. And that was just never me. So in the end, I always loved international teams, and I figured, you know what? Once I retired, I probably have 50, 60, or 70 years left to live. And I can live all of them in Germany. So now that I have the chance to choose, I want to see the world and explore and widen my horizon. So that's why I went from that half Australian team to a French team to a Danish team to an American team just to learn new things and be open-minded.
Were you still based in Germany when you were pro?
For the years in France, because I only had a 1-year contract for very, very shitty little money, they said, "Look, we want you to live in France." So I lived 6 years. I had first with another two neo-professionals, we rented a tiny little house because none of us had money to have your own house. So we rented that house and shared like one bedroom each, and then the living room was for us three together. Then I had a good year, better contract, could afford my own house, my wife, and back then we had 2 children. She would come down. So for the 6 years, I had a tiny little house in France. But still, I did spend quite some time in Germany as well. Yeah. After that, I lived in Germany.
What was it like for you with Credit Agricole at the time? I mean, Chris Boardman, wasn't he part of the team as well?
Yeah, he was my first roommate. We still friends. It was good for me to start because in a French team, tradition is a big word. They would go I have done it like a rider like this. The last 15 years as sport director, I did it like this, and we will keep doing things like this. So there were no surprises, no negative surprises, but also no good surprises. We would follow the trainings program, same training camp in December, the same in January in the same place. And it helped me to find my place in the team and in the peloton because things were so reliable, you could foresee everything, right? So tradition was the big word there. When after 6 years, I felt my career kind of like is stalling, not really going downhill, but stalling, not really going up. But then I had to decide if I want to like maybe easy and safely ride into retirement, or if I want to reinvent myself, if I want to challenge myself. And then I felt I still have too much energy and drive in me to just write another contract and another contract to ride it out and take the safe and easy money. So then I signed with Bjarne, and with Bjarne, innovation was the big word. Everything was new, and Bjarne went, look, if I always follow the others, I will always be second. But if I want to win, I need to take a jump that they haven't done so I can pass them. And that made perfect sense. And after 6 years with a comfortable and like warm, nice team ambiance, I was grown up and I felt, yeah, I can use some pressure and some responsibility or taking responsibility for myself. And so it was a really nice matching step to go to Bjarne from the French team. But I wouldn't say a bad word about the French team. I had 6 great years there. We still have contact with some of my old teammates from the French team. So it was a really good start to my career.
What was it like doing your first Tour de France with them?
Well, man, I could talk an hour about that. So it's a French team. So every French rider goes, yeah, I prepare Paris-Nice and I prepare the Tour de France. And you go, we have 18 riders in the team. The foreigners, like Boardman, O'Grady, they're going to go for sure for the Tour de France because they're really good. So that leaves 6 places maybe left for the French. But there's 12 of them. How's this going to work? Everybody is like full on convinced. Yeah, I prepared the Tour de France. I'm like, well, I'm the neo-pro. What do I know? I just train and race as hard as I can and see what happens. So then we had the first Tour de France, my childhood dream. After the wall came down, I realized, okay, now the wall is down and I could actually turn professional. So the Tour de France would be my biggest goal, right? To be one time participate in the Tour de France. But then we fly to Ireland to start the Tour de France in 98. Chris Bopper, my teammate, wins the prologue, takes yellow. We're like, yeah, this Tour de France is easy. And then we had 2 days in Ireland and then back to the mainland. And the Festina scandal happened, like police searching trucks and buses and hotels, people getting arrested, people driving away, people jumping into planes and flying back home and never be seen again. Then it's a quiet day. Then new riots, new people get arrested, and just the thing get bigger and bigger. And you see your childhood dream is basically blowing up into a million pieces in front of your eyes. And then you have your parents calling you. They go, Jens, are you not in this, aren't you? And you go, what the heck? You're 6 years professional. You go, I'm in the Tour de France. We want a prologue. This is so awesome this is shit. This is absolute shit. What the fuck is this sport? So it was a quite interesting experience. And I believe we finished with less than 100 riders in Paris. We had strikes, then riders fighting within each other and organizers against the UCI against riders, teams against this. And it was just awful. Yeah, that was my first Tour de France. But yeah, it was a fantastic start, the Tour de France. And when you are new, just the amount of people they are there, the amount of spectators, it is mind-blowing how many people are there and how enthusiastic and encouraging these fans are, And I mean, in my first Tour de France, I was just getting my head kicked in. I mean, I was in a breakaway, finished second on a stage, but that was because I was already, far back in the GC. So when I'm then in my gruppetto, I'm dropped, and in the front you have Pantani and Ulrich and these guys going. I'm in my group. You have a little bit of time right? Because I was still a good enough climber that the gruppetto was no challenge for me. I could not go with the big ones, but in a gruppetto it was easy. So I had time. And then, you see these groups of fans. You could totally see the Belgians go, hey, I got some beer. Then the Americans go, hey, I got some sausages. The Dutchies, I got cheese. And the Germans, I got some bread. And then they mix together and have a barbecue. And you can hear 2 or 3 different languages in the same corner. And you can see they all share their experiences and become friends. So, it was absolutely fascinating. And something I did not know of was the lap of honor on the Champs-Élysées. So when you arrive there, I'm like, the tour is finished. And they go, hey, Jens, what do you do? Get changed. And I'm like, why should I get changed? We go to the hotel now. They're like, no, we got the lap of honor now. So you get a brand new set of clothes, you wash yourself, get a brand new clean set of clothes on, and then you ride the Champs-Élysées, one of the biggest and most known roads in the world, completely closed for you. And these loyal fans, they wait for you. They wait 10 minutes, half an hour until everybody is finished. And then you do the lap of honor on the Champs-Élysées. A beautiful Sunday afternoon in Paris. You reached the goal, Tour de France is finished. And these fans wait for you and give you applause and show you respect for basically surviving the Tour de France. That was a really heartwarming moment.
Yeah, I've heard the waiting times now on Champs-Élysées is about 8 hours if you want to keep your spot.
True. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But obviously you've talked about the first one that didn't go to, well, actually, no, I want to ask about that as well. Much is made about Marco Pantani as the legend, and you actually raced against him. So did you have any interaction with him or Jan Ullrich? Well, Jan Ullrich will get on to the Olympics, but Marco Pantani as like a cycling icon, you actually raced him.
Yes. No. I never saw him. When we had crosswinds, he was never there. And when we had mountains, I was never there. But I remember that one stage in 98, out of some French city in the Alps, like kilometer 0 on the right side of the road and on the left side of the road, more or less the same moment, KOM in 15 kilometers. And you see the entire bloody squad of him with these yellowish Mekatonono jerseys, like all of them to the front. And on top, there were like the entire team of Pantani, a few Festina riders, and Jan Ullrich. So yeah, I never really raced with him too much. And like it or not, love me or hate me, I think people tend to romanticize things they are back. I raced against him. And I realized, okay, I think one of us is on super petrol and one is not. So the whole hero idol thing, it's hard for me to accept that. I was there. I saw it, right? And I mean, after that, he had it all. He had money, fame. People loved him. And he pissed it all in the wind. So, as I say, love it, or take it as it is. That's just me. It's a free world. So he's not a hero. He's a tragic hero. Let's say that. He's a tragic hero. People loved him for what he was. He was friendly. I give you that. Absolutely. But he damaged our sport quite a lot. And so, see, we still talk about him. So...
Fair point.
I mean, yes, people remember him for the good and the bad. He was a character, And as I say, he was friendly. But hero, it's in my eyes, it's too much of a word.
Fair enough. I also want to talk about your first stage win as well in the Tour de France, because we've talked, well, you mentioned how like the feeling of just being at the Tour, finishing it, but actually taking a stage win at the Tour. We always hear this about that riders are just, that's like a career objective for many people.
Yes, it is. And winning the Tour or winning a stage is like a little coup de noblesse, like in French would say, or like as if you have been knighted by the sport. When I won my first Tour, I had the big ones back in the days, Museov, Cipollini, André Schmiel, they would show up. So, hey, man, that was a great win yesterday. You worked hard for it. You deserved that win. It changes everything. Your contract doubles or triples. If we have this podcast in, let's say, in another 30 or 40 years, you will not say, here's Jens Voigt, stage winner in Tour of Denmark. No, you will say, this is Jens
Maybe
Voigt,
I will. Maybe I will.
stage winner of the Tour. Or, when I show up at a bike race and I'm 80 years old, they will not say in Germany here, hey, there's Jens Voigt, triple winner of Tour Bavaria. No, that's forgotten. But the Tour de France, yellow jersey or stage win, that stays with you for life, like an Olympic title, or as if you have been knighted by the Queen. It stays with you for life. So, yeah, you cannot underestimate the importance of a stage win in the Tour de France.
But how did it feel? Like, how was that day for you? Stage 13, correct? Or no? 16.
Good question. In the second half, at least, it was a long and hard day. It was a big breakaway. Then it started to fall apart. In the end, it was just Bradley McGee and me. It's all of it. I mean, you're in the break, you're okay. I think out of these 15, I can probably beat 10. The other 5, I don't know. Then it falls apart. I go, okay, it's only 3 left. How can I beat them? But they have the same sort. You know, how can I use Jens right tempo, but how can I beat Jens at the end? And I was thinking the same about the others. So you were nervous, you felt the pressure, and also it was only my 3rd year, 2001. Then you think, you know what? Maybe I never ever get so close. I mean, there's people, they win 5 races in their entire career, and people with 0 stage wins in the Tour or on the Giro. So it's not a given. So, you feel the pressure. Okay, I don't want to let myself down now. Maybe I never ever get a chance to come that close. And once it's done, you realize how big it is. The podium, the ceremony, they call you up on as the stage winner, press conference, anti-doping. Then driving back to the hotel, they had a band. We stayed in a small village. They had a band waiting for me. So they played some live music as I, walked into the hotel. It was just really, really fantastic. The entire team was still there waiting for you. Go, hey, yeah, the Tour safe, stage win. So yeah, it is a pretty special and almost magic moment.
I missed the Olympics as well because obviously you were saying like with Telecom was so big in Germany and Jan Ullrich was kind of also this big hero, and then you were riding with him at the Sydney Olympics.
Yeah, the Olympics and me, my friend. There's another negative one. Riding for Ullrich, the entire Team Telecom finished 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Ulrich wins, and then later has to have his coming out. 2004 in Athens, we are riding again for Ulrich and Team Telecom, and 2008 in Beijing, we ride for Schumacher. What's his name? Stefan Schumacher. He was even positive 2 weeks after. So I had 3 Olympics. The Olympic spirit, and 3 times the team captain was later in trouble. So when he asked me for the 2012 Olympics in London, I went, F that. I'm not going to go back to the Olympics. Take somebody younger that wants it more than me. So Olympics and me is, it's a mixed emotions. But I can tell you that the Olympics, they were a crystal clear magnifying glass on the world and society. We went to Olympics in Sydney. The world was so innocent and good. The fence around the Olympic Village was that high so that the neighbor's dog wouldn't come into the village and pee on the lawn in Olympic Village. I mean, it was up to our hips, the fence, basically really just to keep, pedestrians or like walking their dogs out. The entire country was behind it. They were proud to have the Olympics. When you took public transport, there were musicians on the road singing along, and everybody, hey, that's so great. We have the Olympics welcoming you. Then we had Athens. It was a lot more chaotic. The fence was a lot bigger around the village. And 2008 in Beijing, we had 2 fences around the Olympic Village. Each fence was at least 3 or 4 meters high. And in between these 2 fences, we would have armed guards walking, right? And whenever we, with our, Team Germany car would enter the Olympic Village, they would push a mirror underneath our car to check for bombs. And you would go, what the fuck is wrong with the world? And when you see these armed guards walking around in Beijing, with these two fences around the Olympic Village, you go, I wonder who is locked in. They are locked in on the outside of the village, or we are locked in, And you go, this is just wrong. This is just absolutely wrong, that we need two big, massive fences with armed guards in the middle to protect whatever, 10,000 athletes. Like, it shouldn't be like that, right? So, yeah, the Olympics, it's a special chapter.
Yeah, that is quite a shock coming from Northern Europeans. We might as well, before we get to the CSC part, because that's what I'm looking really forward to, there is one yellow American elephant in the room as well in your career, Lance Armstrong, because you were racing like all those tours that he won. You were pretty much racing all of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and you're in the American space. He has a podcast as well. You have a podcast with an American. So yeah, what was it like racing against Lance? And did you feel like the sport growing in popularity over in America as well?
Whew, that's another answer for an hour. Yeah, we could see Lance coming up after he had the cancer comeback. And we felt like that in the US, but also worldwide. Cycling became more popular. I mean, it was a story larger than life. Coming back from cancer, surviving, winning one of the biggest races or the biggest race in the world. He was a world champion as well. So yeah, I guess he was a really, really, really high profile figure. But rumors started quite early. And Lance wouldn't have any of that. So he did sue a lot of people and he did make a lot of lives very, very hard and miserable. And he asked me actually twice to join his team. And, when Lance Armstrong asked you to join his team, if you're not an idiot, this is a T section now. You cannot go straight. You have to make a conscious decision now. Become a millionaire, become a superstar, have a ranch in Texas, or have none of that, but have a long and happy career, right? I mean, become a millionaire. It also came with the risk. It might, maybe one day you have to explain your children and your parents. So I said, Lance, whatever you guys do, I'm not part of that. I keep I remember that one of the times he asked me, he won a stage in the Pyrenees, took the yellow jersey, right? So next day, the race is quiet. I go, hey, Lance, congratulations. It was one of these stages between the Pyrenees and the Alps, one of these transit stages for breakaways between the mountains, right? Massif Central, like boiling hot. So boiling hot out there, right? Whatever, 35 degrees, what do I know? And I go, hey, Lance, congratulations. Great win yesterday, yellow jersey, awesome. Yeah. And then he went, hey, Jens, you got to leave the shitty French team. And then he went, you got to come to this side. And I swear, I got goosebumps. And I thought, this is Darth Vader talking. This is Darth Vader. Come to the dark side. I swear, I was riding next to Darth Vader. Come to this side. I'm like, no way. Whatever happens, there's no way I'm gonna join. Why didn't you say, come to my team? We could use you. Why would he choose the word side? Come to this side. That was so scary. And I mean, I was a grown-up man by then, right? I was a good bike rider and grown-up man, but that was so scary. It's like, oh, no. See, and I mean, also, when you see some of his teammates, I would kick their ass. 6 out of 7 months. But 1 month per year, they would kick my ass so hard, right? I mean, 2004, yeah, I believe, yeah. Lance wins the Tour of Georgia in the state of Georgia, right? And I'm second with 45 seconds or 1 minute 20 behind after 6 days of racing, right? 6 days of racing and I'm 1 minute 20 behind. In the Tour de France, I lose fucking 10 minutes per fucking day. And you go, I wonder, right? I mean, imagine you have a Danish podcast colleague, right? And next year, your Danish podcast colleague, still doing the same podcast, but he has a helicopter, he has a boat, and he lives in Monaco. Still doing the podcast like you. And you go, I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't make sense. And that's how most of us felt about that.
Yeah, I've kind of thought about this. Obviously, he's done a lot of wrong for a lot of people that has been well documented. But I still think, and you were describing it as well, he kind of put cycling on the map. Suddenly, you had a cyclist who was friends with the president of the United States. Suddenly, all these things happened. I heard rumors. Well, I don't know if that's true, but that he turned Trek into a $1 million company from $1 million company into $1 billion company, and these kind of things.
Correct.
So there was a positive effect out of all the negative as well. And the symbol of cycling, I think most Americans, you can say Tour de France and they'll say Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, absolutely. There was also a positive thing about Napoleon trying to unite Europe. Yeah, that would have been so good. Or another positive thing is Columbus discovering America. Yeah, for the people down there, it went really well. Yes, on a cold financial capitalistic facts. Yes, hell yeah, we all lived better with Lance. He lifted our sport and also Trek from like a $100-200 million company to $1 billion company with his image. And as I said before, this larger than life story, survived cancer, came back. So yes, we all had more TV time, more sponsorship, more money, better contracts because of Lance. Yes, that is correct. Just one of these cases when you build it up in front of you, and when you turn around, why you turn with your butt, you break parts of it back down again. And it was that good and that terrible that even now we still fucking talk about it, And some years ago, I did a charity challenge, Everest challenge, and the
I
local
was going to
TV.
ask you about that as well, because you
Yeah,
did the Everest thing before it was cool.
The local TV team said, "Oh yeah, that was awesome. You raised whatever 41,000 euros for charity." But how was it back then? Racing with Ulrich and Armstrong, and like F you. Would you ask any soccer player how it is in their sport? Will you ask me when I'm 80 years old? Will you ask my children, hey, how was it when your dad raced 60 years ago? Like, so I still suffer from the effect because I'm not hiding. I'm out in the public. People ask me this question. I don't think Lance talks to everyone, so he probably doesn't have to answer the questions how it was, right? But yes, absolutely, he lifted cycling to a whole new level. That is absolute correct. Yeah, I agree.
I never actually thought about that, yeah, kind of your generation would have to like always answer Lance questions. But Lance aside, I don't care about Lance. Saxo Bank at CSC, you joined CSC as you mentioned with Bjarne Riis. What was that like coming from the French team? As you said, you wanted to be on international teams, and the Danish team, despite it was Danish, it was very international. So was it 2006? Four, okay. So that's the Ivan Basso era. Yeah. So what was the first few years of CSC like? And you were saying the cutting edge and everything.
Well, remember, we had the first December, come together training camp where we also did team building with B.S. Christensen, the soldier or the former soldier, who's actually a great, great, great person. I love B.S. to pieces. He is an absolute hero to me. So yeah, Bjarne get us all together on, I believe back then it was Club La Santa on Lanzarote Island, maybe. So then he has the first speech. He goes, okay, here's what we do. He said, look, I'm not only going to try to make you better cyclists, I also try to make you better humans. That's a big call. So, he had my attention. And also then he went, guys, listen, a few things for whatever logistics or rules. If it says dinner, it's okay that after dinner you go to the sports bar and have a beer. Maybe two. but not more. And around 10, you should be going to your room. If it says dinner party, then we all party. And Bjarne was there. We switched off the light in that little nightclub there, Bjarne and a few of us, when it says dinner party on the program. And then it's probably not important at all, but it stuck to my mind. Bjarne said, okay, there's just one rule. I'm like, okay, now it comes. One rule. And Bjarne goes, no smoking in public. I'm like, that is the rule? I mean, we are pro athletes. And back then I was rooming with an experienced, well-known, really good Danish cyclist. And as soon as we entered the room, he would go, hey, Jensi, can you keep a secret? I'm like, yeah, yes. And he lit up a cigarette, opened the room window, lit up a cigarette and smoked at the window. I'm like, what the heck? I thought this is the best team in the world. And now the first rider, who is my roommate, happens to smoke. I said, yeah, I do a few. And then at Christmas, I stop and I'm focused. So the balance between freedom and rules, the balance of having your own responsibility, but also have to then stand up for that. One of these team meetings or team camps, we had the motto, freedom and consequences. So you have the freedom to choose and to act in the way you want, but you also then are obliged to live with the consequences of that. And that makes perfect sense, right? With Bjarne, we realized basically he is the original inventor of marginal gains. Back then we had Cervelo bikes and Shimano. And Shimano wanted him to use the entire package, so also the wheels. And Bjarne said, no, your wheels right now are not good enough for my team. I don't want your wheels. And Shimano went, yeah, but if you want to have our group sets, the shifting, the brakes, you would have taken the wheels. And we said, no, then I just go and buy your groups. And then I don't have a sponsorship deal with you, but I'm not going to use your wheels. The same for tires or, wherever. One day we had a training camp in Denmark and we would then start to train core muscle training, for your lower back and your belly. And we would train on a fit ball, right? And Bjarne would then, as a coach for us, he would then have, I can't remember the year, he would then invite Mr. and Mrs. Fitness Denmark to be our coaches. Not anyone, no. Mr. and Mrs. Fitness, they both came and showed us how to work on our core muscles. So he would always aim high to achieve the best possible results. Wind tunnel testing or on the TT bikes, and something we were also way ahead of everybody else. In the January training camp, we would often then have split training days. 3 hours in the morning with sort of efforts on the climbs. And in the afternoon, between 2 and 3 hours on the TT bike, right? So by the time we would hit a race like Paris-Nice with a prologue, we would all have spent easy 1,000 kilometers on our bikes, hours on that bike. And then you come to the team hotel and you see the stupid Italian teams putting the time trial bikes together on Friday night to use them on Saturday or on Sunday. The day before, they would put the TT bikes together. So you basically know, okay, all of them are beaten. Without even a pedal stroke. They have no chance. They're going to lose so much time in a prologue that they will never, ever make it up. And you go, what is in your mind? You have a multi-million-dollar operation, a multi-million-dollar team. Wouldn't that be the easiest thing to put the bikes together just 3 weeks earlier and have the guys train on them? So Bjarne was having us ready at zero, at the first kilometer of the season. Just endless amounts, he was into food, different foods, cut down this, have more of that. Another thing I never had before was Ole, our osteopath. Ole Curry, Farrell. Well, we just called him Ole. And Ole was an osteopath, and I believe he must have been really super talented because I'm a believer of school medicine. I believe in operations and fixing bones and medicine. And an osteopath touching you here, touching you there. I'm like, yes, I don't know if that is just hocus pocus, but Ole convinced me with the results. Ole would touch you here and there, and then he had this really low voice. He would always go, when he had a problem. And I swear, Ole twice told me, Jens, tonight your legs are like a leopard, full of energy and elastic and full of tension. And both times I won the next day. It could be a total coincidence, but I swear only 2 times he told me, your legs are just perfect tonight after the treatment, and I won the next day. So who knows? But yeah, Bjarne had, all these different things.
Did you feel like you became a lot better bike rider with all these marginal gains from Bjarne?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, clearly. We were 3 years in a row, we were the best team in the world. One year when Carlos Sastre won, or the year before when Fabian Cancellara won the prologue in London, the worst rider in our team was Tour de France stage winner. That was the weakest link, and then it just got world champions, Olympic champions, and some multiple stage winner. We were a really good team, and these survival camps, team building camps, or team spirit building camps, like Bjarne used to call them, they did not make us faster on the bike, but they made us willing to go just one more time for the other. And that was often the difference because, don't be fooled. Everybody trains hard. A lot of riders have talent and want to win, and everybody has a nice bike and a nice helmet. So where do you make a difference? Sometimes it is just this little bit where you just want it. You just want it more than somebody else. And my example here is one of these training camps in December in Denmark. It was so freaking cold. It is Cancellara and me on fire watch from midnight till 3 a.m. or something. So everybody is sleeping in their tents and sleeping bags. And Cancellara and me, we sitting there and we have to stay awake, that the fire doesn't stop, our campfire, and also that the fire doesn't spread out and we burn the entire forest down. So we just sit there, just him and me. And then Fabian Cancellara goes, hey, Jensi, look at this. And he pulled out his last chocolate bar and he shared it with me. He could have easily have it by himself, just, hey, I'm just going to go and look for more firewood. He disappears in the forest. He could have eaten it by himself. But no, he did share it with me. And ever since then, whenever Fabian asked me, Jens, can you go one more time? For him, I could, For him, it's okay, Fabian, you're in my heart for life. Because of this moment, we haven't had food for hours. And you shared this last chocolate bar with me. And so I said, hey, Fabian, whenever you need me to go one more time, for you, I can. Probably for nobody else, but for you, I will go one more time. So we were also brothers, friends and brothers, and that really helped for us to be such a successful team. But clearly, we all became better bike riders there.
I mean, you touched on the 2008 Tour de France. Well, there was a Cadel Evans there, but it seemed like it was more an inter-team rivalry with what happened with Carlos Sastre and Frank Schleck. You were part of that team as well, right?
Holy smokes, you're touching all the sensitive things here and all the complicated things. Here's how I saw it. We start the tour with Carlos as our only captain, right? Then with tactics playing out, we had Frank Schleck in the jersey and Andy Schleck being the strongest rider of the entire race. So we go into the stage Alps, and I was there in the meeting, right? So Bjarne goes, okay, we got Frank in yellow, which normally is untouchable because it's a yellow jersey within the team. We got Andy being the strongest rider in the mountains right now, and we got Carlos, our captain. And as far as I remember, Frank Schleck stood up and said, okay, listen, I know I'm in yellow. I know about the position and importance of that. But we started the tour with Carlos Sastre. And Frank Schleck went, I can keep the yellow jersey. Of course, I can keep the yellow jersey today. But I will lose it in the coming time trial. So our best option is still to go for Carlos because he's a better time trialer. And that's what we did. And also Andy Schleck said, yes, I can win the stage 3 LPS because I'm the strongest rider in the race now. But the plan is we go for the overall for the GC in Paris, not for today. So from what I have seen, they both sacrificed that, yep, no, we are the team and our plan is Carlos. And in Paris in 3 or 4 days, it is Carlos Sastre our best chance. And it happened like that because I was just like going full gas through the valley into LPS. like do the first or two switchbacks. And then I, of course, exploded and I was dropped. And I could see the three climbers, unfolding their magic, attacking. And Carlos attacked early because that's what we needed to do to gain as much time as possible to Cadel Evans and any other competitor. So it worked out really, really well. And yeah, I sometimes still wonder where the controversy is from. I did not see controversy. I saw we have a plan and our team did stick to it. And even both Schleck brothers were willing to give up their chances for a stage win or for another day in yellow for the bigger goal to have yellow in Paris. So that's how I experienced that day.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, when you say it like that, I think it's maybe just more maybe the French that didn't like seeing teammates attacking the yellow jersey.
It is unusual because the yellow jersey normally is untouchable. It's protected. It's like one of the unwritten rules. But it was our only chance to win the Tour de France because we still had a time trial coming up and Carlos was a better time trialer. So in the end, it turned out the way it was right, but it might have looked a little controversial, maybe from an outside viewer, that one teammate attacks the other one who is actually still in yellow.
Well, I don't know where to get this in, so I'll get this in now before we get into the two Tour de France's that I absolutely adore. But there is a French race. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. Raymond Poulador has 5 victories of it. I used to love watching this race. And you have 5 victories of this race. It's called Criterium International. It was a stage race organized by the ASO. And as I recall, it was there was a time trial in there, a mountain stage and a medium or flat day. But what was your love affair with this race?
Okay. When whatever your job you do, there's a moment where you have to be honest with yourself, right? So I'm a pro cyclist and I want to win. So I look at the cards life has given me. It doesn't help me to look at the cards of Cancellara or Sagan. They have better cards. Yes, they have. But I don't have these cards. I have the cards in my hand. So I look at my cards. I have a big engine. I'm willing to suffer for a long time. And I have the desire to win. What can I do? How can I play the best possible game for myself with the cards given to me by life, right? So whatever made the race vicious, mean, negative, hard, terrible was good for me because I was less affected by mountains, by bad weather, by shit conditions, right? So basically, if I wanted to win, I had to put everybody, including myself, through the meat grinder because I would come out of it less tired than the others. Right? And that race was just a perfect example. It was 4 times when I won. It was up north in the corner of Belgium, Luxembourg, and France in the Ardennes. Miserable spring weather, cold and rainy. Crosswinds on the Saturday stage. And the next day was a split day, right? And it was the day of the summertime changing. So you have 1 hour less of sleep. So basically you race 200 kilometers. Shit conditions, crosswinds, rain on Saturday. On Sunday, with your biological clock, you would wake up at 5 a.m. and eat pasta to be racing at 8 a.m. So already there, I have beaten half of the peloton just because of that, right? And then you have kilometer 0 and 50 minutes later, KOM, 1.5 kilometers. So there I did beat the rest. I knew if you go into the KOM in the top 5 positions, on top is a little bit of crosswind, the race is over. Basically, it's a 5-minute race, and then it's decided. And again, it was still dark. When we were warming up, there was ice on the lake in that little stupid forest there. It was cold. You could see the breath when you breathe. You could see the cloud of your breath because it was so cold. It was still dark on a Sunday morning. So that was just my style of racing. I was just less affected by the, and not negative, but by the harsh conditions, right? And what people also didn't realize, when I attack Valverde, for example, he could have stayed with me or could have chased me down, but he didn't want to chase me down. He wanted his teammates, but they're not going to chase me. Valverde, he could chase me down, or Lenz, he was there once or twice, but not his helpers. So once I had a minute, They could never bring me back. And by the time they realized that I'm too far out, they couldn't bring me back. And it worked time after time. So it was really, yeah, a really good race. It was vicious and hard. 1 hour less of sleep, a split day on the next day. Yeah, it was a tough cookie, that race, but it was just right down my alley.
I mean, I should add this as well for people that aren't haven't followed you for that. Well, maybe because we have quite a lot of new cycling fans on the podcast, but you're not just a domestique. You won a hell of a lot, like 59 victories in, well, according to Pro Cycling Stats. Yeah, this notion of you being like the domestique, it's not really true. But 2009, this is the Tour de France that I really started to follow. And this is also where Alberto Contador seemed untouchable. Lance came back. You guys had the Schleck brothers, and Cancellara was very strong as well. You were in the team right here as well for that tour. Yes, you were. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, because I think this is the one where you had the brutal accident, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Okay, I do recall that. What was that race like for you? Well, until that one stage.
It was well, like every Tour de France, intense race. We had both Schleck brothers in good shape, so we always have a chance. We always believe that at least podium, if things turn out lucky, we could win. Wiggins was just getting up there. Yeah, Lance was there, Contador. So there was some stiff competition there. But hey, everybody can have a bad day. I just think, and I had a discussion more than once with the team, or also Andy and Frank. I said, listen, we need to race more aggressively. Every day we arrive in the same time with Contador, Wiggins, or Lance. It's a lost day for us because they're going to gain time. Very likely, they're going to gain time in a time trial. The way we have to look at the Tour de France, if we start a Tour de France with Contador, Wiggins, or Lance, we start the tour with at least -2 or -3 minutes. That is how we have to look at it. Because in the TT, we will lose at least a minute in each time trial. Maybe 1:30, but a minute. So we need to look at it. We are already at the start, 2 minutes behind. So we got to do something else. Or we go in the mountains, I'm going to smoke him, I'm going to take 5 minutes in the mountains. If we do that, no problem. But if you only take 10 seconds back on Contador or on Wiggins or 20 seconds, but we lose a minute in time trial, we still have a deficit. But it's also not that easy because they also have good teams. It's hard to surprise them in the crosswinds or with an early attack, you risk to lose it all as well. So it's a fine balance between racing aggressive and racing stupid, right? So, but yeah, it was a good Tour de France, definitely.
Did you get many opportunities for yourself in those kind of where you had Schleck, you had Basso, whoever, or was it you just had to fall in line in a way?
So and so. Back then we had still 9 riders per team. So if it's a flat stage, then it's Andy and Frank plus 6 to keep him safe. That's 8. At number 9 would be me. Then they would go, you know what, Jens? Yeah, go. If you want, go. We still have 8 people together. They can take care of the Schleck brothers. It should be good. We don't expect any dramatic action. The road is not complicated, so you have the freedom to go. Sometimes, or a few times actually, I would have been sent out as a jumping platform or stepping stone for our leaders to catch me. I work for them, and then they jump further ahead of me. Quite a
You
few
just touched
times.
on my favorite Jens Voigt moment ever. The picture of you with Alberto Contador and Schleck on your wheel
Yeah,
is just so one of my favorite images in cycling.
I was on a good day there, yeah, and that was just one of these. They said, Jens, you go out there, and especially Jens, we want you out there, not anybody else, but you in the break. And then you just listen to the radio, and at our command, you just stop and wait, or go very slow so you can catch you. And then, yeah, Alberto and Andy came from behind, and I moved them up that big mountain. Yeah, that was a moment where I was also proud until basically still today. I'm proud of that performance, that I could actually put the plan into reality, and then also later in the stage have the legs to actually be a valuable member to help Andy. And once they dropped me, I got caught to the next group. Robert Gesing was in there. He was still a young, Tour de France contender back then. And then since I said, look, I got Andy Schleck in the front. I cannot help you guys. I just sit here and try to survive. And I could see him touching his jersey in the back like 3 or 4 times. And I said, you know what? I think he's looking for food, because you could see the pockets were empty. And I had 2 more gels, which I didn't need. So I said, should I just throw him away and let him die? Or do I be a nice human and give him my 2 power gels I still have left? And just me being me, I said, hey, Robert, I got 2 more gels. You need them? And he said, yes, please. And he had the 2 gels, and we never caught Andy. But I think it helped him, because the time gaps were in a way that you wouldn't really let cars in between the different groups. So it was hard for him to actually get any food, right? So he was really happy that I actually did give him my 2 little power gels I had left in my pocket. But yeah, I have to admit, for half a second, I thought, should I just secretly throw him away, or should I actually offer it to him?
Guessing if he actually had beaten Schleck, not like you said, there wasn't any chance of that. But if you had saved Guessing's GC chance, the Andy Schleck Contador rivalry was definitely something that caught my attention. And when I was watching for the first time the Tour de France, what was it like for you? The teams, like the team dynamic. You had Andy, they had Contador. The drop chain gate as well happened. He attacks all this in 2010.
Basically, apart from that day, their rivalry was spectacular, but it was also marked by huge respect for each other. Both knew, if he has a good day, I'm fucked. Or if I have a bad day, I lose it all, because they were so close. The chain gate, clearly Alberto saw Andy dropping the chain, because he almost ran into him. So he decided to use that and make the best out of it. Well, I guess a fair game, right? It's sport. So what I find the most shocking about that is, what's on a Col de Madeleine, maybe? It was one of the really big climbs, right? And since Alberto knew only Andy can be dangerous to me, nobody else. Everybody else is beaten. So he was basically glued to the wheel of Andy. Then Andy had the plan. He did a drop back to end of the group, talk to the car, get a bottle, and then he wanted to use the position that he's actually the first time of the day behind Alberto to have a surprise attack. In order to not make everybody aware of him wanting to attack, he did not change into the big ring, right? Because that makes a certain noise, and riders know that noise. You know, you can hear the noise with electronic shifting. It's a different noise that somebody changes the chain ring. So everybody would have looked back. So he secretly stayed in a small ring and moved back to the 11. And that's why the chain jumped, because 39.11, there's not enough tension on the chain, so the chain started to bounce, right? So what I found so shocking, we are 2 weeks in the Tour de France. Andy is on an uphill part, willing to attack 39.11. You know how big of a gear that is? That is like the big chain ring 16. That is massive gear, right? That is like legendary stuff. If the chain wouldn't have fallen, he would have won the Tour on that day. But since he was so afraid Alberto can hear him shifting gears, he chose to take the risk of staying in a small chain ring and go down to the 11. That is a massive gear ratio. And to me, that's the most shocking. How strong was he on that day to use that big of a gear to attack? Unfortunately, it didn't work, but he would have won the Tour definitely. He would have just annihilated anybody. He would just put everybody to shame on that day. He was so strong. And even after, Andy kept it quite fair and correct. So look, that's what it is. I try the best to win tomorrow again. So Andy handled it pretty good. Despite his young age, Andy sometimes in these moments, he did grow up to be a grown-up man and be quite a champion.
Yeah, it was. Do you see that as a victory for the team, that Tour de France, following what happened with Contador being stripped, etc.?
Yes, yep. It's just Andy didn't have the chance right in yellow to Paris. They came in December or January, they came to his parents' house and handshake, here's your trophy. So, all the fame, the glory, the picture forever on the Champs-Élysées in yellow, he didn't have that. But I agree with Andy. I might be biased because I love Andy to pieces. I love Andy like a younger brother. So I'm on his side here. He goes, yep, it's my win.
I mean, Jens, you spoke about Contador and Schleck. How do you see the parallels between them and Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar, and who do you think is going to win this year?
It is a little bit the same rivalry. And I just learned yesterday or 2 days ago that them two now holding the record in the Tour de France history of finishing first and second to each other. So it's 2 wins. The first win of Pogacar, it was Primož Roglič second. But apart from that, it is either Tadej winning and Jonas second, or Jonas winning, Tadej second. So 4 years in a row. It's a record in Tour history. I believe this year, I'm a big fan of Pogacar, but this year, Jonas, I believe, has a little bit of an edge over Tadej, because many times I heard from different people and different sources that if Jonas is healthy and ready, just by pure mass, nobody is able to beat him. The values he has, the heart rate, the power output, how long he can keep that power up, it's unmatched. And he will not crash in a Basque country again. This will not happen again.
He's
And
not
nothing,
going.
yes, there you go. And nothing motivates you more than getting defeated, right? So he will be really ready to take a tour win number 3 for himself. So he got a strong team. They even made the team a little stronger. They learned about the tactics, how Tadej won. They know how it's going to happen. And if you look back in history, Tadej not often dropped Jonas. More often, it was the other way around, that face-to-face, Jonas was better than Tadej. Tadej needed tactical little miracles to gain time, or time trials, or downhill attacks, or whatever. But if you look back at it, Jonas, healthy and ready. Jonas seemed to be just a little bit stronger. So let's see how this year goes, but I believe Jonas is just by a little bit, but he is my favorite for this year's Tour de France. No doubt, Pogacar will be at least second or winning. Number 3, probably again Remco, maybe Ben O'Connor, maybe some new kid on the block. We see.
I mean, your father yourself, like you said, to 6 children, and 5 of them still at home, like you said. That's also the difference between Vingegaard and Pogacar. Pogacar is not a father. Do you think Tadej has an edge there over Vingegaard, or is that irrelevant?
I believe he has. Yes, I believe he has. Each child I had, or my wife had, we had it together. I was breaking, let's say, 1 bike length earlier. 6 kids. That 6 bike lengths I would break earlier before the corner. So yeah, that makes a difference. A difference as well is Tadej seemed to enjoy the race, the sport, the camaraderie, being out there. And he's not shy doing what seems to be crazy tactics at the start. Jonas seems more professional. This is my job. I got to do it to the best ability I can. He doesn't smile as often as Tadej does. If that is good or not, I don't know. They are definitely different types of riders, and that's also how the team has to treat them and prepare their races. And I believe with Tadej, he goes, hey, I want to attack. Let's do this. And then the people in the car go, yes. In Visma Lease bike, I believe it's different. The car goes, we have this plan. And the rider in the peloton goes, yes. That is also different. Again, I'm not judging. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just different. And that's why it's so fascinating to watch them too, with a different approach they have, you know? I mean, you see Tadej on social media, they have like a little dance in their team bus before the stage starts, you know, and then you see Jonas fully focused, put on his numbers straight and the most aerodynamic as possible. And everybody has this different approach to it, but both of them are extremely strong and successful. So yeah, it's going to be a good Tour de France, that is for sure. Generally speaking about modern cycling,
I was going to ask you this, so this is great.
yeah,
I think this
I,
led, compared to where you started, where you weren't wearing helmets, to where we are now.
I must say, we are blessed. We are lucky. We live in the golden age of cycling. We have superstars like Jonas, Remco, double Olympic champion, Remco Evenepoel. That is not even Eddie Merckx managed that. Well, okay, back then, you know, it was a little different. But anyway, Pogacar. For the one-day classics, we have Mathieu van der Poel, Wout van Aert. I believe Tom Pidcock looks like he is going to be up there this year. He's have a good start into the season. So you got absolute superstars, and all of them are really likable as well. They are nice people. They talk to us. They talk to the fans. They entertain us. So it's not just, I'm a superstar and I'm off to my hotel. I mean, you know, how many people can say they did shake hands with or whatever, Djokovic or anybody? No. You know, they might kick a ball into the public and then back in a hotel. In cycling, we don't have entrance fees. You can just come and basically tap your hero on the shoulder. It's just, you know, no other sport has it. So our sport is great, and modern sport also, the way they race, it's so spectacular. The years where Team Sky came onto the scene, Team Sky was super successful, but it didn't look really interesting for us viewers and fans. Now it's totally open. I mean, honestly, I'm supposed to be a cycling expert for Eurosport. When Pogacar attacked the World Championships with 100 kilometers to go, I'm like, oh my God, is he just throwing it away? Is that like a, you know, is that a crazy thing? And he pulled it off. Who would have thought 100-kilometer solo at the World Championship? And he pulled it off. So it is really, really fascinating to see how modern sports, how fast they start, how fast they race, how fast they finish, and also for the entire season. So I'm loving it in the moment. Our sport is really, really good. Denmark is a really good sport with Mats Pedersen, with Jonas, Skjern Moses there, you know, Kurt Nielsen, Magnus Kurt Nielsen as a stage hunter. He's maybe 1 or 2 years older than the others, but man, never count him out. He's a smart man. So Denmark's a really good sport for cycling. Yeah, in the moment, modern cycling is just at its best.
Well, one last question. Your career, you've ridden the Tour de France, was it 17 in total? You've ridden the Giro, you won a stage there, you won all the you've ridden all the monuments, even finished second in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. But there's one hole that you haven't actually ridden, and you've ridden the greatest 1 week stage race of them all, Tour of Denmark. But why no Welter?
The way I trained in the winter, I hit the ground running. First race, you know, I was good in Etoile de Bessèges, in the Tourmalet, in the early races. Then kept on going full gas, the classics, then into the Giro, then the Tour de France. And then by the end of the year, I was just tired, you know. Plus, I was often in really good teams where many riders wanted to go to the World Championships. And in order to perform well at the World Championships, mostly the entire top 10 comes out of the Vuelta a España. So spots in the Vuelta are really precious because teams want to prepare the World Championships. And since I didn't go for the Worlds, I said, you know what, give my spot to somebody else. If I could go back, I would change it and try to do at least one Vuelta and win a stage, because I would love to be in that exclusive club of stage winners in all 3 Grand Tours. I think there's 100 or 101 of them, and I would love to be a member of that club. So maybe the only regret I would have looking back at my career.
Well, we could sit here and talk for probably 6 more hours, but you have 5 children and a wife that want your attention and a cat. So I just want to thank you very much, Jens, for your time, and check out the podcast you have with Bobby Julich as well. Anyone, which is it Odd Tandem?
Yep, the Odd Tandem.
Yeah,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah, there we go.
Yep.
So we'll include the link down below in the video as well. But yeah,
Yep.
Jens, I really want to thank you, and yeah, hope to see you in person as well sometime.
Thanks for having me. And here's one piece of philosophical advice to all our listeners, straight from B.S. Christensen, the soldier. He said, listen, if you and your partner, your team, your better half, friend, right? If you have an argue and it's not cleared, it is like as if you put a little stone, a little brick in between you two. That is no problem because the brick is at the bottom and you can walk across it, you can talk across it. If you have a few more discussions and you never clear that out, after 100 or 200 or 500 of little talks, little unhappy moments, this one brick became a massive stone wall. And then it takes a terrible, hard, painful effort to break that wall down, to be able to see and hear your partner, your friend, your team on the other side. So whenever there's a discussion and that you can feel there's this first little stone in between us, grab that stone, throw it away and say, hey, look, this is not good. We need to clear this. We both need to walk away from here happy and clear so we can talk tomorrow again. So fight the beginning. Take that first little obstacle between the friend, your partner, your husband, your wife, your team, away, right at the first moment. Don't let it become this massive wall, because for sure you have seen it happening with your friends, maybe even with yourself. So that is one of the things I kept for my entire life from B.S. Christensen. So now, yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
That was amazing. Okay, thanks for that, Jens.